welcome back to this week's episode. I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest this week, Lucas Xing. He got 33rd place at NiIC with this awesome Chien Pao list, and even got first place at LA Regionals earlier this year. He's widely known around the community, and I cannot wait for him to teach us how to play Chien Pao today. Lucas, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Lucas Xing. I'm a competitive Pokemon player from Toronto, Ontario. I've been playing the game for about 9 years now, competitively. And yeah, you can find me on Metafy, Twitter. Those are the two platforms I'm usually on. And I'm usually in some videos revolving Chien Pao, so go check those out too. Kieran has made a few videos on those, so if you want to learn more, definitely go check those out.
So, before we get into anything, I heard of this name, the board of directors with Chien Pao. I've actually heard it from multiple people that y'all are in this group. Can you give me a little insight on what this is?
Yeah, so when we first started playing Chien Pao, it was it wasn't that popular of a deck for a while. So it was kind of a not underground, but not respected as much as other decks. And Grant Chen uh, uh did really well with the deck for a long streak during the first quarter, and then he just gave himself the nickname, the CEO of CEO Pal. They just gave himself that nickname, and then just off that, we kind of built around that, where everybody that's avid Chien Pao player that's really good at playing Chien Pao is under the board, so they work with him. So we're all one big group, kind of all talented Chien Pao players. It all just started with him though, calling himself the CEO.
I love that. So do you think you're the CFO, the CTO? Where do you fall in this board?
I don't know if I'm definitely a high position. I wouldn't say I'm a top level position, but I definitely say I'm working my way up.
Okay. Well, so I'm gonna pull up the list real quick from your NiIC. Would you like to talk anything about the list or mention any cards? How did you feel, I guess, during your NiIC run?
So the NIC run was kind of funny of how this happened. I think most of us wrote off playing Chien Pao for a while. So for the 2 days we were practicing for NIC, in the hotel, we didn't play any Chien Pao games. We only played Lost Box and Gardevoir and other decks like that. And so we didn't touch Chien Pao until the Thursday, so the night before the tournament, at 8. Grant's we're not playing Lost Box, we're playing Chien Pao. I'm dude, no, we're not doing it. And then he's no, we're doing it. And then we went out to dinner, and it was me, John, and Grant, and then they were let's play Chien Pao. I was dude, no, let's not do it. It's a bad play. And then somehow got convinced, and then Reagan got convinced. So it was just us four. We played 0 games, basically with the deck. And then we just said, we just sent it because we thought, we're really good at the deck. We're comfortable with it. So, the list was kind of unrefined a bit. We kind of did a lot of, theory and kind of, feeling it out. It wasn't too much, what's it called? Practice going into it. We kind of just, went with the flow of things. But the list is pretty standard, I'd say. We used our list that we used all of the last quarter in the one with Silene in it, the list we popularized for a while, and that was the standard 60. And we kind of adjusted it to the meta. We made 2 changes. We cut the Silene for an Enhanced Hammer, and we cut Cologne for Earthen Vessel, because the logic was we want to Iron Hands as fast as we can, and so having an Earthen Vessel to find that lightning was super important. And we also thought that a lot of people would play Lugia, and the legacy energy is actually kind of game losing against Chien Pao if they draw well. So you kind of need the Enhanced Hammer to discard the legacy energy and to kill the Iron Hands for 2 prizes, or else you'll lose the prize trade without it. Okay. But other than that, their list is pretty standard.
So what happens if you prize the one electric energy? Because I have this fear of that every single game I will run this deck, I'm going to prize either the electric energy or the Iron Hands. Yeah. What do you do then?
The prize of the lightning's really bad. The hands is whatever, because you have heavy ball. You can that's not that big of a deal. The lightning is kind of scary. I think at NAC I only prized my lightning once. I think the odds of prizing your lightning is sub 5%. So it's not you shouldn't be that worried about it. But if it does happen, you'll definitely be set back a bit. But you can as long as you find it within your first 2 or 3 prizes, you should still be okay depending on the matchup. But it's definitely pretty scary without it.
Yeah, I'm always afraid of things like that. I swear, I play a lot of online tournaments mainly. I swear I saw so many people running the 2, and I was oh yeah, you're afraid too, buddy. I see. So I see the 170 Frigibax in here, I believe. Is that for Dragapult, or what is the idea of the 70?
So the 70 has always been in our deck. We never switched off 70 just because Lost Box has always been a deck in the format. And now it has another use against Dragapult. Like, so it can tank a Dragapult hit, it only does 60 damage. And against Lost Box, if you have like a fridge and like two fridges, the 60 and 70, they can't save blind kill both of them. So the map is pretty relevant, and you don't start them that often. Like when you start them, it kind of sucks, but like you can. It's like it's not the end of the world.
Do you go first or second with this list? And does it change between who you're against, or?
It's like 99% first. There's only one matchup where we go second in, and then we still debated on it. Like I think we go second, but then other people I've talked to think we go first. It's the Turbo Iron Hands, like with the Iron Crowns and Rhino.
I guess we can go on into our matchups. First matchup I want to ask you about is Gardevoir. What do you think the way to win versus Gardevoir is with Chien Pao? How do you feel about the matchup? All those type of things.
Yeah. So like the big reason we thought Chien Pao was good was because all the top players were going to play Gardevoir, and we were really confident that the matchup was super positive in our favor. It definitely scales depending on how well your Gardevoir opponent plays it. But basically, like going first is huge. Because if they miss or because Gardevoir's pretty slow, they have to Evo, or if they miss Evo, they're even another turn behind. So if you can get early Iron Hands out, you can usually get 4 prizes with it, like relatively easily, which is really strong. So like you just want to go Turbo Hands, like, but the scary part is like there's a few like ways to like throw the game like without noticing. Like we can get into it later, like if we hit a Gardevoir, but there's a lot of intricacies like your bench space management. Like if you bench lock yourself out of hands, you're in a terrible position. And you want to save a spot for Iron Hands and sometimes even Iron Bundle too. You really need to be careful about getting trapped because they can do some cute stuff with like Unfair Snap, Counter Capture on the barrel, or like if you only have one Baxcalibur in play and they go like Counter Capture the barrel, you Scream Tail to snipe the backs, then you can't retreat the barrel unless you draw your Prime Catcher. So there's a lot of like quirky things the Gardevoir opponent can do to like slow you down. Usually what you want to do is you want to use Iron Hands, you want to have the barrel down, at least the Frigibax and the Baxcalibur. And if you get 2 barrels down, it's really good with Iron Hands. It's like you at least need one, you have to have one. And you want to like preload energies. So like you're gonna have 4 energies on your Iron Hands, and you're gonna want to like manually attach or use Baxcalibur's ability to load energies on like a Bibarel and a Baxcalibur, anything with 2 retreat basically, so that if it ever gets trapped, it's really easy to retreat. So that's like one thing you have to keep in mind. But other than that, it's just like an Iron Hand simulator.
Okay. So we just play Iron Hand Simulator with retreats already set up, basically.
Yeah.
How do you feel going to a Charizard matchup?
The Charizard matchup is a bit more. It's definitely different because they have the ability to kind of be a bit more aggressive as opposed to Gardevoir, and they have a bit more higher HP Pokemon. So you're less reliant on hands and more using Chien Pao. You definitely still want to use hands. Like your optimal prize mapping in almost every matchup is going like 2-2-2.
Okay.
3 2 prize knockouts, which is why Chien Pao is really good because like there's not many Pokemon that can either A survive Iron Hands and B survive Chien Pao. So like you're usually always taking 2 prizes, which is like why the deck is really good. So I guess Charizard, like usually you want to go turn 2 hands, and then they have to respond to your hands with the Charizard, and then you respond to their Charizard with the Chien Pao, and now you're up 2 prizes, and they're at 4. And they usually try to use Radzard to correct the prize trade, but you have Iron Bundle or Prime Catcher to kind of force something into the active that can die to Chien Pao or Iron Hands. Because Radzard is the only Pokemon in their deck usually that can survive Iron Hands or Chien Pao. So like their bench is usually pretty vulnerable. This is why Iron Bundle is really good. But like there's like also some intricate plays where you could do where like if you can't Iron Hands, but you can use a Chien Pao to take a knockout, sometimes it's better to just pass instead of taking a knockout with Chien Pao.
Oh, to like avoid the extra damage, I guess. That would allow them to knock out Chien Pao or Iron Hands. That's smart.
Because most lists don't play Maximum Belt anymore, which is like one of the ways they can increase damage. Most lists just play Defiance Band, and Defiance Band doesn't activate because we're just gonna be tied on 6. So you can like kind of take a turn to try to get your Iron Hands out. because they usually can't one-shot a Chien Pao, or like if they take a one prize knockout, it's not that big of a deal. Like that's one play you can make. Before, when we had Cologne, we'd be a lot more confident in taking that one prize knockout because you can kind of correct the prize trade with your own one prizer at some point. But we don't play Cologne anymore. But that's like a tech inclusion. You can.
So what do you think about Lost Zone then?
This is definitely one of your hardest matchups. I'd actually say harder than Dragapult. My two of my losses at NiIC were to Lost Box. I lost to Andrew Hendrick, the eventual winner, and like he can stop me.
Makes sense. It
without
feels nice
Manaphy,
if you lose to the winner, because then like, are you actually second place? You never know.
I mean, I couldn't stop him. He was just unstoppable. Like at NiIC. I don't feel bad because there was no way I was ever winning. He was too good. So, it's before it was like manageable because like if you won the coin flip and evolved into like a Baxcalibur on your second turn and use like Iron Hands or whatever, or Greninja to take two prizes, you just win. But now, like Wild Bliss played like 4 PokéStop or like 3 or 4 Lost Vacuum, so it's like reasonable for them to hit turn 1 Greninja, which is like really bad for you because like you could bench triple Frigibax to try to deny that. But it's like you're still pretty far behind, and they have to like whiff really hard for you to like come back. So we don't play Iona or any form of disruption, so they usually have access to all the cards as long as they lost on them. And so like that's like the one scary part is that like before, if you won the coin flip, it's like really hard for them to hit turn 1 Greninja going second. But now it's like kind of a bit easier with 4 PokéStop, 3 Lost Vacuum. Also, if you just lose the coin flip, then you're already behind.
True.
You just have to hope they whiff. It's like a really hard matchup, but it's not like unlosable. I just say like because their deck is pretty consistent and very turbo, it's like really hard to deal with their aggression.
Okay. Do you have any tips for dealing with the aggression of Lost Box, or just like cross your fingers and pray?
So I did play against a Lost Box that I lost the flip, and he turned 2 Ninja, 2 Frigibaxes both games, and I won both of them. I think like the main thing, like the takeaway I had from that, 'cause I didn't think I was gonna win by something, was like I counted his resources a lot. Like Lost Box usually has to burn through a lot of resources to achieve certain plays. So like if you know that like it's gonna be hard for them to respond to an Iron Hands, because like if they do the ninja play and you have 3 Frigibaxes up, you just evolve the 3rd Frigibax into a Baxcalibur, and you try to go into Iron Hands and hope they can't Ursa it, because they probably use like 1 or 2 Mirage Gates to commit to a Greninja play.
Very true.
So it's like going to be a bit hard for them to come back with an Ursa. And some lists don't play Manaphy. So if they don't play Manaphy, you can use Greninja, and they have to respond with their Iron Hands, right? But that's kind of hard, right? They need 2 Mirage Gates for that.
Yeah.
So that's basically how I won that Lost Box match, was I just counted his resources, and like he was like low on resources, so I was able to punish him with the correct attacker each time and like force him to use like energies to retreat instead of like attaching them and doing stuff like that. So I definitely say like make sure you know what like your opponent has access to and kind of respond accordingly is probably the best way to win. And then just like go Iron Hands and Greninja. If they play Manaphy, it's a lot harder, but without Manaphy, it's like I'd say it's like still pretty winnable as long as they don't hit the Iron Hands return, which is like pretty hard for them.
I guess then going into Lugia, what do you think about the Lugia matchup? And do you have any like tips or hints on how to win that one?
So this matchup is like pretty easy. Especially with Enhanced Hammer. I'd say without Enhanced Hammer, there's like a world you can lose, but with Enhanced Hammer, there's like you should never lose this matchup. Everything in their deck either dies to Chien Pao for 2 prizes, or like a lot of their Pokemon are weak to lightning, like Lumineon and Lugia. You can take 3 prizes with Iron Hands at any point. The scary part was if you couldn't get around the Legacy Energy Iron Hands with E-Hammer, like that's not a big deal. So like even if you go second, you can still win. Like it's still really easy, I'd say. I'd say the big thing is don't like if you're going second and you know you're against Lugia, try not to start Chien Pao or any other 2 prize Pokemon. Because it's a lot easier for them to hit like Lugia and his Lugia V-Star to hit Chien Pao for a knockout, as opposed to if you start a 1 prizer, you kind of force them to get Legacy Iron Hands, which is a lot harder for them.
Okay.
So try not to start a 2 prizer. The Enhanced Hammer is really good. You have Lightning weakness at any point to correct the prize trade if they bench a Lugia V or a Lumineon. And I'd say this matchup is like relatively simple. It's like very easy in my opinion. Like you have so many ways to deal with what they bring at you, and like it's really hard for them to bench the Minchinos too, because you can Greninja them at any point.
Oh, true.
So
Yeah.
it's like this is like one of the best matches for the day.
Okay, perfect. I guess going to Dragapult, how do you feel into that? Is it a similar feeling or?
It's weird. Like this matchup, like in theory, is pretty bad. Because they're big HP and they spread damage. They can kind of like take off your support Pokemon, which is like the main way some decks beat Chien Pao is like killing the support Pokemon. Like taking out your Bibarels and Baxcaliburs. That's like a win con that a lot of decks try to use against Chien Pao, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you like play around it. But we noticed that a lot of the variants of Dragapult are really slow. Like it's really hard for them to turn to attack. Like if you look at the Lost Zone Dragapult deck, it's like really hard for them to turn to attack with Dragapult. The version Tord played with Charizard and Pidgeot, he only played like a one Dragapult TX for like a 2-2-1 line.
Yeah.
So like you have to get like Dragapult, Pidgeot, and Charizard out on like the second turn to attack with Dragapult, which is like really hard for them to do. It's like near impossible to achieve such a board state. So like the only one that can like feasibly attack turn 2 was the Pidgeot version that played Neo Upper Energy. That's the only list I can hit turn 2. So if they don't hit turn 2, you usually can just win because you just use Iron Hands and take 2, and then use Chien Pao to take 2 at some point, and you can just, as long as they don't hit turn 2 Dragapult attack, you're usually winning.
Okay.
Like winning the coin flip is also really important in that matchup. Like a lot of people like going into NiIC were just assuming that Chien Pao was dead because of how like people just assume that Dragapult beat it. I also thought that for a bit, but then like testing, like actually doing the testing, like their deck just doesn't turn to attack very often, and that usually means you can get the first 2 prize knockout with Iron Hands. Winning the coin flip is obviously important, but even without it, it's like still hard for them to set up sometimes.
Is there, in the most ideal world, who do you want to start with? I guess. I mean, here we don't really have a choice, but
yeah. I'd say Chien Pao, like depending on matchup, it's like Chien Pao's one of your best starters, or like any of like Fridge. If you're like any matchup where they can't punish you for starting Chien Pao, you want to start Chien Pao because you get a lot of card advantage using his ability.
That makes sense.
And any matchup that you don't want to start Chien Pao, you want to start like the 1 HP or the 1 retreat Frigibax or the 1 retreat or Bidoof or Greninja. Like anything with 1 retreat basically is good.
You go first? Yes.
Yeah.
We will go first. Sounds like a plan. Okay, we're mulling this. If we kept this hand, what do we feel like? Is this good or bad?
This is a good hand, I'd say.
Okay.
You have Poffin, like key cards are like Poffin, Bibarel Vessel. Those are all really good opening hand cards because you can find your Lightning, you have Poffin, you get Bibarel next turn. The Heavy Ball is also kind of nice too, in case you prize something. It's kind of like another way to get Pokemon.
Makes sense. Ooh,
This
Chien
is also
Pao
a pretty
start.
good hand.
It's our favorite. Oh.
Okay, so we're playing as a real deck. Let's go.
Let's go.
I would Shivery Chill first.
Shivery Chill first. Step 1, Shivery Chill.
Yeah. And then I'd Vessel away Water Energy. Yes. 2 more waters. Just thin out your deck as much as possible. And we're gonna Greninja first because we want to leave ourselves, like if we Nest Ball out a Pokemon, then it reduces our odds of seeing it off Greninja.
Oh, that makes sense.
So we're gonna consider cards the Lightning first.
Lightning. Okay.
Like Chien Pao has a lot of sequencing and just deciding to do things in the right order, which is like really important. And then yeah, we can Nest Ball for Frigibax.
Witchy? 60, right?
Yeah. And then I'd probably Ultra Ball away 2 waters for a Bidoof. And then I'd attach to the active and just pass. Kind of an interesting start, but like we'll see what we get off this.
Or what is this? Interesting. Ooh, you're done.
Ripple topic. Like I'm trying to map out if we can get hands this turn. don't think, can we? If we get Rare Candy, if you Greninja, it doesn't seem possible. I think we just take the one prize knockout.
Okay.
Like, you have to, like, decide which lines you want to take, because, like, you don't want to overcommit to a bad line and whiff. So I retreat the Bidoof into the Chien Pao.
Hand attach, or?
Oh, yeah, from hand attach.
Chien Pao.
And then I Chill. I think we have 2 waters left in our deck.
Just 2, perfect. Big brain.
And then we can Greninja first. Usually when I Greninja before Irida, because you can draw the cards you were going to get off Irida.
True.
So, yeah, we could bench his Frigibax. And then you just get Rare Candy. And for the water, I would get Bundle. Because we don't play Cologne, so we can't really punish this. Actually, like, let's think. So there's 2 thought processes here. Like, we can either A, bundle and take out, like, whatever's on the bench, which is, like, pretty good, or B, kill the Manaphy and hope they don't have Super Rod, so then we can use Greninja next turn.
What do you think is the best?
I think we could just kill the Manaphy, actually, so we don't need to get the bundle.
Who should we get then?
We just don't get a water Pokemon. We have a Baxcalibur in hand, right? It should be good.
Yeah, we have Bax.
Yeah, I just get the Rare Candy. And then you can just Rare Candy the rest. Yeah, like, I was, like, thinking, like, should we bundle and kill one of the bench Pokemon? But, like, I don't really know what the deck does, and I just assumed that they don't have a way to get this Manaphy back in a reasonable time, so we should be alright. So I would just attach 1 energy to the active.
All of them?
No, just 1. Because in case we get Iono, then we know we have an energy in our deck to use Shiver Chill next turn.
Okay. And then just toss 1.
Yeah. 2. You need to toss 2 to kill it.
Oh, it's X60, yeah.
Yeah, you're Raging Bolt killed, so.
I did Raging Bolt last night on stream.
Yeah.
Prime Catcher, let's go. I don't like this card. Does this mean we're against Serena, though? Interesting. I wonder if we'll be against Serena. Prime Catcher. I feel like he should have grabbed this one. Just saying.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really matter. We have Prime Catcher to do whatever we want.
Yeah, but he doesn't know
that.
Serena.
Okay. See what he does here. I just rip the Greninja first.
Greninja first? Okay, so card.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, so we can play this Irida.
Okay, Irida.
We can get Chien Pao Ultra Ball.
Chien Pao. Ultra Ball.
Yeah, so sometimes, like, it's good to get, like, if you, like, need an extra card to discard, like, that's, like, where you want to get another water Pokemon sometimes off the Irida.
Okay.
So we can Ultra Ball away the Chien Pao EX and the E-Hammer, because those are pretty bad cards. We don't really need them right now. And get a Bibarel. And we don't want to evolve the Bibarel yet. We want to retreat first, because it has to retreat if we evolve. So we can SCR, and then just discard the Rare Candy and Super Rod.
All waters?
Yeah, all waters. And then we can Super Cold 3 to the Greninja, and then 1 to the active.
Retreat?
Retreat, yeah. And then evolve into the Bibarel and then all 4. Yeah, so it's like that's like the time to get another Pokemon off the Irida. Like, it let us not discard a Prime Catcher, basically.
Makes sense.
So we just did it before. Forward. Yeah, and I just use Greninja here.
Who do we put the damage on?
I think, like, because he had a 3 button suite, we should kill, like, the NiIC because they only have 1. I don't really know as a assume it does something, and then we just kill it on speed.
Ooh. Another super rod. Let's go.
Yeah, super rods are sometimes like you need all three of them, and sometimes like I use like one a game. It's like very like 50-50 on how valuable super rod is some games.
So you can discard it then pretty freely as long as you have one left over, or
It's really weird. Like it depends on the matchup. Like the matchups where they're going at your support Pokemon, then you need like your super rods like pretty badly. But in the matchups where they don't do that, it's important. I'd say usually you could discard one if you like have to, like, but you should still try to keep them, and they're still a valuable resource.
okay.
If you have to discard them, I wouldn't. Like some people are too scared to discard resources sometimes with Chien Pao. Like they're afraid to discard SCRs or afraid to discard rare candies. But usually, like you can win games without all of them. You kind of have. It's like you kind of have to tell which games you need to win.
Makes sense.
So this is pretty easy, I'd say. We don't want to bench this other Chien Pao because they can do the play they just did. So this is like leaving the bench spot is pretty good because at any point we can just bench another Chien Pao and then it won't have the damage on it.
Yeah.
So we can just attack with Greninja again this turn. I would just Superior away Nest Ball and PokéStop.
All waters again?
Yeah, all waters. And then I would just Super Cold 2 onto the active. And then I just keep the 2 actually. We already have everything we need in our hands, so we don't really need to do much after this. And then I'd probably just Greninja, kill the Bounce Speed on the bench, and just put 90 on the active so that it's easier for us to kill it with Chien Pao instead.
That makes sense. Bidoof?
They're probably going to try to Iona this turn. I assume that's what they're going to go for. Maybe not. I'm not too sure what their deck is, to be honest. I actually don't know what the deck does besides their first attack. I don't really know what's going on. Okay.
Interesting. Are they gonna take out the Bibarel?
If that's okay, that's fine. We already have everything in our hand.
Yeah. I assume we put up Greninja?
Yeah.
And he's at 250 health, so that's 5 energies on.
Yeah, and we just have Irida for SCR. So it's just game. So we have Chien Pao and then Irida for SCR. Another thing that Super Rod is good for is like it's like kind of like a way to get 2 energies because if you're out of energies, you can just Super Rod 3 waters back to your deck and then use Chien Pao's ability, and that's another way to get energies into play.
That makes sense.
So that's like another resource that Super Rod can be used for. It's not always just for Pokemon. Getting energies back to is also really good. And then we have to attach them to the Queen Chien Pao.
The Queen. What are you trying to say about the 190 health one, huh? She not the Queen too? She took damage for you. It doesn't work. She took damage for you, buddy. A
bit overkill, but it does the trick.
Does the trick. Lucas, thank you again so much for coming on and teaching us Chien Pao. I'm definitely going to be trying it more. Even though it went poorly, I have never had so much success with Chien Pao. So I'm excited to try her more. Thank you again, Lucas. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
No, thank you for having me. It was a really fun time shooting this video. And yeah, just check me out on whatever platform, Edify, Twitter. You can find me there. And yeah, that's it for me. Thank you, though.
Perfect. Yeah, I had so much fun learning from Lucas today, so I would definitely recommend shooting him either like a DM on one of the platforms or hitting him up on Meta5 for coaching if you want help with Chien Pao. He definitely has so much knowledge with Chien Pao that I cannot wait for you guys to see this video. Thank you again, guys, so much for watching. If you guys want to hit the subscribe button and the like button, have a great day. And Lucas, thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.